From the east of spring's awakening breezes to the south of summer's passionate heat, to the west of autumn's purifying waters, to the north of winter's regenerative earth, I open this reading by invoking the Muse. O divine Posy, goddess, daughter of Zeus, sustain for us these messages of inspiration. Make this reading live for us in all of its many bearings, O Muse. Hello, beautiful muses. Welcome back to Cosmo Muse Tarot. Today I have 4 different decks to choose from, and they are tarot decks that are going to be primarily used in each pile in each reading. So if you were to choose pile 1, your reading would center around this tarot deck specifically. And this reading, it's something I've done before, but I kind of want to elaborate a little bit more on it because it's very multi-useful. You can do this type of a reading for so many different purposes. So I like to call it, I'm shaking things. I like to call it sort of a life cycle reading, but it's something where you can get sort of the big picture, a snapshot of where things are. So if you have something that's on your mind and you're just sort of curious about where it is in its cycle of life, it could be a relationship, career, whatever. There's so many more things than relationship or career, but for whatever reason, those are what came out of me. Anyway, it could also be used if you're needing to make a decision about something, whether to move ahead or move past something. This can kind of give you a little bit of it, not like a straightforward yes or no, but it can kind of give you where things are and a trajectory, so a greater insight and ability to weigh things a little bit better, to make better decisions. So once we get sort of the snapshot where this thing is in a life cycle, and that's up to you what it is, we'll go a layer or 2 deeper with that and kind of single out the placement of where this issue is for you, and then get a little bit of context just for that specific place. That will make more sense once we get into the reading, but just know that we're going to go a couple layers deep into this. And so if you have something that is on your mind, you want to get a big picture of where it is, or if there's something you're deciding whether or not it's worth your time or energy. This isn't really necessarily great for a decision in terms of should I do this or should I do that. It's sort of like, should I do this or not? And it could also be sort of like, another example would be, I just want, I feel like I'm due a raise, or I feel like this person is really it for me, or I'm wavering about this person, or it could be I'm feeling really drawn to moving to a certain place. These are the types of things that you can use this reading for, to really hone in on the big picture of what's going on with it, trajectories, and then it will go a layer deeper to see context around specifically where things are right now. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I think it's a very multi-useful reading, and maybe you have multiple things that you are deliberating or just want a big picture view of, or multiple things you're needing to kind of make decisions about, and so maybe different piles scream out to you for those different things. For one thing, for one issue or one thing you kind of want insight into, I would only pick one pile for that, but feel free to bring multiple things to the reading and, choose piles for each of them. Okay, I have decided that the card that we are going to use in this reading for whatever reason, it's just sort of what came to me, what felt needed was we are going to use the Empress in each of these decks, in each of the piles, to represent the heart of this issue. So wherever the Empress ends up in the life cycle spread is sort of like where the heart of your issue is at, and the things surrounding it will illuminate certain things. So I'm going to show you the Empress card from each of these decks. So maybe you like the artwork on the back of a deck to help choose which one you're into, but maybe you want to choose it based on the Empress on the actual artwork. Okay, so the Good Tarot for pile 1. This is the Empress from this deck. Really, really beautiful. She almost is masked, but a really beautiful headdress anyway. Very harvesty with some grain there, almost Demeter-esque. And then we've got the She-Wolfe Tarot from Serpent Fire for pile 2, and she has labeled the Empress the Divine Feminine. So maybe something a little bit more like with this naked woman and body art, a little bit more primal and yin, in that very true to form yin nature that is like really connected to intuition and instinct and the wild, untamed kind of energy of the feminine. And then we've got the Tarot of Mystical Moments here. This one's a little bit more proper, elegant. We see a womb, maybe you're birthing something right now. It doesn't have to be a literal child, but maybe you're really into the energy of trying to manifest or bring something into fruition that you're really incubating at the moment. And then we have the Star Child Tarot for pile 3. Let's see if I can get this. And she's just very ethereal here, very just simple but elevated in a certain way. Okay, so those are your 4 piles. For those of you that like to go through a little breath, you can stay tuned and go through that with me. If you have your own process, feel free to pause here and do that, and then skip to your pile down in the descriptions. I'll have the timestamps. But for those of you that want the breath, take a deep breath in, draw it up towards your third eye or the space between your brow, hold, suck in a little bit more to add some pressure there. And then with a big loud exhale, let it out, open up inspiration and your higher self. And feel free to pause here again if you need to do more of those, and then connect into whichever pile is drawing you in for your issue, circumstance, question, whatever it is you're bringing to this reading. All right, I will see you in your piles. Timestamps are in the descriptions, and see you there. Hello, pile 1. If this is you guys, you picked the Good Tarot and this very harvesty type mysterious Empress, it sort of feels like. So we are going to pick just on the fly 11 more cards to mix the Empress in with and do our life cycle spread. Oops. Okay, so there were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and one more. Woo. 11. Then we will also look at the back of the card once we have this spread put out. We're going to mix these up even though we don't know what's there. mix the Empress in nice and good. So we're going to lay all 12 cards out, and the placement of where each placement has a meaning, which we don't need to get into, but wherever the Empress is in this is going to give us a lot of insight and information about what's going on with this issue, with the issue at hand for you, with the whatever you're bringing to this reading. Okay. Beautiful. Some decks, just so you know why I turned this around, when decks are look the same, well, I won't get into why. I'm not going to do reversals in this anyway. Long explanations not needed. I'm just not doing reversals right now. Whoops, let's bring these down a bit. 4, 5, 6. Wow, okay, very interesting. Let's see, just straighten these out real quick. I'm a little bit finicky about that. I apologize. I know it takes a little time, but I want it to be pretty for you guys. Okay. Wow. Okay, let's see what's on the back of the deck before we really dive in here. Whoops. Ace of Earth. Well, that is very interesting. It actually makes sense. Okay, you can't quite see that, can you? Just scooch a little. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Okay, so whatever question you are bringing here, or circumstance, or query, it feels as though we're at the end of the road here. And so what you really should be doing with whatever you've brought here is to surrender into it and download whatever bigger purpose or meaning this thing, person, thing, event, circumstance was in your life. It's time to kind of allow something about this to transcend. It may be fully letting go of whatever this is, or it may be just allowing it without your effort, without your pushing, without your agenda involved. By just letting go, a transcending of this circumstance to happen. And I feel like you are already having some bubbles of insight, inspiration about some new cycle that's either past this or that takes this into a whole new life cycle. Because we have the Empress here at the very, very last spot of this layout. This has been through all of the growth, the ups, the downs, the wisdoms, the everything it's needed to go through for its purpose in your life. It's gone through that. And so if this is something you're really wanting to take to a next level, it's time to just let whatever baggage is around this, to let forgiveness come in if there needs to be forgiveness for anything. Usually there's a lot of baggage and a lot of of complexity at this point in the life cycle. It's sort of like opening the closet where all of the things you've shoved in the very back and haven't really wanted to look at or deal with, it's the shadow work, is kind of springing out into the light, and you're seeing the whole picture of light and shadow, and how really accepting and surrendering into the whole like solar system of what is there, just be, and to love it, whatever it is. It's like all of a sudden things just lighten up, things lift off of your shoulders. Whatever needs to go about this naturally will. So if there's things that you're feeling like are needing or trying to disperse, dissolve, or kind of leaving, it's not a time to try and grasp onto it. It's a time to let whatever is trying to leave, to let any secrets out of the closet. They are going to come out anyway if they're already trying. And often things that we hold in like the very, very back corners of closets don't end up being as big of a deal as they are once we face it or let it out or whatever it is you need to do with it. Just witness it. It's just like your soul is trying to lighten up, is trying to pierce into a new boundary, and in order to do that, it's like needing its own boundaries to really expand and become porous, and just let whatever's coming in and out do so. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you feel like your boundaries are very weak right now, that just comes with the territory. And instead of trying to retighten your boundaries or get really protective or hold on to life, because that's not what you're supposed to do here, but we're also not supposed to feel overwhelmed and chaotic and completely spaced out and tossed around by life. This is supposed to be a moment where you're able to drop in, be very still, and just see. It's sort of, because there's so much going on and we have these big boundaries. And if you're trying to move around or control things, it creates more turbulence in these big boundaries. And it can create whiplash and it can create exhaustion. But if you just center yourself and be very calm and very still, things become very magical, and you can start to see all of the moving parts and all of the complexity. And suddenly it's like you can compose with that from this very still, meditative place. And you'll feel a new spaciousness around you rather than a whiplash, and just sort of allowing things to come and go. And it's a very fluid place to be if you can sit in it really beautifully. And if you can surrender and find stillness, a little bit of maybe even isolation, you'll be surprised by how much inspiration and compositional ability flows into you from somewhere else. It's somewhere bigger than you. And you start to see beyond whatever this issue is. And I think you're already there, because the card on the back of the deck is Ace of Earth, which is the power of the material, the power of our physical space, the power of our physical body, the power of the dollar, whatever your currency is. So in two ways, this whole thing could have been about the material realm, and it's time to let go and surrender to whatever complexity is around that. Or you're already getting inspiration and bubbles of insight into what the next cycle is bringing, because you're really finding the meaning and understanding of what this cycle was about, and new bubbles of insight around the material realm and your potential power that you could bring into the material realm is starting to happen. So kind of depends on where within this 12th phase you are, and you'll know which one resonates to you. Yeah, so, and it's definitely possible here. There are just kind of a snapshot of things going on here. Yeah, there's some really stable earth happening here, Hermit as well. It does feel like this whatever this was about did have some financial or material sort of connection to your life. It definitely changed your life, which isn't surprising. Any big cycle will, but it makes me feel like this isn't a small question, seeing that the Wheel of Fortune was in here. For some people, maybe you're bringing a more minor issue to this, but if you pick this pile, my intuition is that this is a more longer term or more impactful thing that you're bringing here. It's really changed your outlook. It changed sort of how the trajectory of your life. Yeah, for sure. And it seems like the last couple of steps before you got to where you are right now were maybe a little bit frustrating. I feel like there was so much beauty in so much of this, and you gained probably just like a ton of spiritual wisdom, spiritual insight, spiritual mastery. You were maybe around amazing mentors. So we both, Hierophant and Hermit, could both kind of be mentors. King of Earth could be a mentor. So you may have mastered something to be a mentor yourself, or you were around some mentors. A lot of beautiful things, but these two cards right before the Empress, so the two phases before you are where you are at now, could have been a little bit frustrating, especially mentally, sort of trying to understand where you plug in, feeling a little bit isolated and a little bit unsure of kind of your sense of who you are in the bigger picture in relation to whatever this is to you. So that might just be some confirmation for you about things that led up to this moment. And this, this being in general about the Empress does make me a second confirmation of like there's something material around this. For every pile, there may have been something. I just felt called to pick the Empresses, but this one, in this deck, this feels like the earthiest, the most pagan-y of all the decks that there were. So even the Empress having connection to material life, physical life, picking the deck specifically that is very earthy, it does feel like very earthy matters, material matters. And it could be money, it could be body, it could just be what you value, your values, the things that you take care of, how you mold your life, that kind of thing. But I think there's been some changes in mind, some rewiring taking place around your values, which is in this ending place maybe put you into just sort of a moment of being a little uncertain about what's next. But I'm looking at this picture of this Empress, and she just really, she's sure of herself, though. She's very calm, she's very still. And so that would be like the advice I would have to you right now, which we already talked about, is getting really still and not letting life throw you around, just observing, surrendering, and remaining really calm and really still. And the understanding, the wisdom of whatever all of this has been about is going to flood into you. Okay, we are going to kind of take out the Empress, this 12th position that she's in, and just get a little bit of context around right now, what's going on, any extra things to sort of know. Yeah, release. Yeah, it's just extra confirmation that it's really time to surrender, whatever this is to you, whatever this means to you. It doesn't mean that this won't come back in a different form, but whatever you're holding on to about this right now, it's time to let it go and see. Like, I think this, whatever this was, held a lot of beauty for you. I always think of fall leaves as just like really, there's grief associated with autumn and the falling of leaves. There's something beautiful maybe that has come into fruition, but it's time to let go. It's time to step back and just appreciate the beauty of what was and to let go. And we even see these leaves that this Empress is wearing on her head kind of feel fallish. There's an autumn tone in general here. So there may be some feelings of grief for you, but often when we let go of something, it comes back in just a different form. So just trust that cycle. That's what all this is about, the life cycle of something, the end of the life cycle of something, and we fully let go. Something new rebirths on, the feeding material that kind of the death part brings. And so new life, new beauty, new growth is readying itself. But allow yourself to feel the grief, allow yourself to reflect, to appreciate and have gratitude for any beauty that was brought by this. But it is time to just kind of surrender. Okay, let's get an animal wisdom. Butterflies. 2 came up, and dolphin. So emerging, take the leap of faith. So I do think that the new cycle is already bubbling within you, and the more you let the old cycle go, the more you'll be able to feel those new flutters and stirring of what's next, of what's coming. And then dolphin, Atlantis. Healing wisdom is surfacing. Stop and listen. Yeah, beautiful. And this 12th position where the Empress was is all about healing. When we see the whole of the light and the shadow, and we sit in the complexity of what a whole cycle was about, and can just be and surrender and allow compassion and forgiveness in, it's like when the healing really flows in. So it's beautiful. A lot of healing of the old, and a lot of new flutters and stirring of some new likely material thing coming in for you. So really beautiful. Last thing we're going to do is pick a couple of tea leaves, just fortune cards, to add a little here. And I feel like if this is like a yes or no query, if this is something about holding on to and trying to make more of something that already is, it's probably a no. If this is a should I let go, or should I evolve this into something totally different, that would be the yes. Whatever, you can glean your own yeses and nos from what was said and what your particular yes or no is about, but those are just some thoughts. Okay. Parrot, dragon, and tower. So we've got parrot. Someone will gossip about all your secrets. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Secrets coming out here. Let people talk. It's okay. It's not as big of a deal as you usually, whatever, big or small, meaningful or not. These things pass. People talk about it. If it is literally a secret that's kind of revealing, or that creates some gossip, the next news cycle comes along in 24 hours. It just goes by so fast, and it just feels so good to just let things out. clear the air, lighten up. And then dragon, beware of self-delusion. This 12th spot, is all about illusions and delusions. And so the best thing to do, like we see with the Empress, is just to sit still, to be very observant, and to not try to control anything. Allow things to come and go as they want. And I think that's where the beware kind of warning is if you're trying to control something, there's some self-delusion in that. There's no controlling at this moment. It's just sitting back and allowing. And by doing that, you will witness the illusions and delusions that there is any control really at this point. And then Tower, solid foundation, success with effort. So whatever you've done, whatever this has been about, it has been beautiful. It has built something beautiful. And whatever rebirths in this new cycle out of the, waste material of this cycle will be growing on this solid foundation. This is something that is not, like in tarot, when the Tower card comes, it's a tower that is crumbling. This tower isn't crumbling. So your next phase, your next cycle, whatever comes after this, by surrendering into whatever, just letting go of this cycle, whatever builds upon it is adding to. That's where I had this strong feeling that even though you need to let go of this cycle, I do really have this feeling that it's going to rebirth and come back just in a different form instead of moving on to something else. And this to me is a confirmation of that, of whatever you've done, whatever you've built, whatever beautiful thing has gone on here, whether it's about a person, business, event, circumstance, whatever it is, there is so much beauty about it, and a very, very solid foundation. And we've seen that there's been a lot of mentoring, a lot of like deep wisdom coming in here, and that's created a solid foundation. So it's just trusting that as you let go of whatever this is, it's going to transcend a boundary and rebirth into just a different form, but it's still going to be there. And that's where I'm going to leave this. I think it's really beautiful. It's definitely a huge ebb and flow, moments of exhaustion and moments of inspiration to be sitting in this last period of something. So the best you can do is just allow, witness, observe, and download the meaning, the bigger meanings, and the bigger understandings that come through this, and just allow whatever is needing to go, and you'll have that moment. You'll feel this passion that's sustained for over a week, because sometimes those little bubbles of inspiration that we get in this phase can feel like the new start. But if it only lasts a day or two, it's more of a bubble than a real new birth. So when you feel that sustained moment and you're feeling like you're really having to pick a direction and plant your flag in something and fight for that, that's when you know it's the new start. So anyway, it's coming quite soon. Maybe let's get a little bit of, I'm going to use these dice to show timing of how long you're going to be sitting in this cycle. Couple dice to get a few different maybe timelines, because everyone's coming with different things that are bigger and smaller in life than each other. So, okay, so for you, this could be 8 days or 8 months. And I would look for an Aries moon, or let's see, how far is Aries season? If Aries season, when you watch this, is 8 months away, it might be Aries season. I think it's approximately that from when I'm releasing it. Let's see. Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, 7 months. So it could be that in Aries season, about 7 months away, you're starting to really feel that new. And Aries is all about the rebirth, a fresh start in general. It could be in Aries season, you're really starting to get all the signs that a new cycle is coming. And then when you get into Taurus season, or 8 months from now, it really is here. Or it could be the closest Aries moon to 8 weeks away, or the closest Aries moon to 8 days away. Whatever timeline feels accurate and likely to you, then that's what I would go with. All right. Happy journeying through this last phase of a big cycle. And it does look really, really beautiful and something really solid found and developed here. So good for you guys. And yeah, just surrender into it. A beautiful new cycle is right around the corner. All right, if this resonated for you, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It helps me to know what you guys are liking. It helps my algorithm. Definitely subscribe if you enjoyed this and want more readings. And comments are always helpful to see a little bit more context of how you might be connecting to this, or if this made no sense at all, I want to hear that too, so I don't do it in the same way again. Or if there's things that you liked it, but there was something you didn't understand. It's always good to get that feedback too. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 2. If this is you guys, you picked the Empress or Divine Feminine card from the Wolfe Tarot. And we are, for this life cycle reading, this spread, it requires 12 cards. So we're going to pick 11 other cards, with the Empress or Divine Feminine being the 12th. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, woo, 9, 10, 11. All right, there are our cards, and then we will see what's on the back of the deck as well after we get these all put out and ordered. And we're just going to shuffle this a little to get your Empress card, which is going to represent whatever query you are bringing to this reading. Get it mixed in so we don't know where she is. I'm going to bring these down a little bit so that I get a little better view of them. Okay. Wow, getting pretty far into this. Last pile, it was in the very last position, and I feel like we're getting there again. Whoa, what are the odds? This is crazy. A lot of endings coming in so far. First half of, first 2 of 4 piles, there's major endings coming through. So let's look at the back of the deck as well. 3 of Wands. Okay. So this could be about a matter where initially, or the whole cycle of what it is, was really something that was very aligned to you, that you were very passionate about. It was sort of like your ship came in, your star rose type of moment. Your star rose, that's what it feels. Yeah. and these cards, how kind of magical feeling they are. It does feel like kind of a rising star moment, but maybe you're kind of at sort of the end of this. But usually we're kind of ready for the end when we're at the end. So nothing to be, there's always a mixed bag when you're at the end of something. It's like a graduation where you're ready for it, but there's so many memories and things that are going to be sad to let go of. Just thinking even of like high school graduation, it's sort of like at that point you're just so done with the getting up every morning and being under your parents' roof, and you're ready to be your own person and go out and work or go to college or whatever, move out, whatever it is you're doing. But at the same time, that there's a lot of people you're not really going to see anymore. And maybe there are teachers that you really came to adore and you're not going to see anymore. Or that comfort zone is being left, and all of a sudden maybe you're going to university, and the thought of that is both exciting but just terrifying. Or you're ready to move out and you don't know if you're quite prepared. For whatever reason, that's what this feels like to me. You're very, like, this feels so, even though you both piles, first pile and this pile, have the same placement of the Empress card, it feels completely different. This is a little bit more, the other pile felt a little more materially based, and this one feels a little bit more A Star is Born based. So taking that analogy another step forward, which I doubt this is, we're not even at the time of graduation in high school, and I'm hoping most of you are past high school. I'd be nervous reading for younger teenagers. Anyway, but if you're here, welcome. It's like within, that high school scenario, maybe you were like a star in a sport, or you were an officer and sort of won that kind of popular, it's a little bit of a popularity contest, something popular there. Or maybe you really proved yourself intellectually and you got 4.0, or like, that's enough of the metaphors, but you get it. Like, whatever this graduation was about, it's not just a graduation of like, just a student that was at school because they had to be there. Like, you really excelled at whatever you're graduating from. And so that's also something that even though you're ready for the next thing, you're like, when it's like moving from a small pond where you're the big fish, and the next step to me that's coming through, and I was gonna say maybe, but it just feels like no, just say it. That's what's being channeled, is the next step, whatever cycle is coming after this, you're going into a bigger pond where there's other big fish, and so you're no longer, necessary, so like if you're a star, like wide receiver in football in high school, and then, maybe you already know what the next thing is. You've been recruited, and so you know what university you're going to, and you're going to be on the university team. But all of a sudden you're a freshman there and you're on the bench, because there's other star wide receivers that have been recruited and that also have been there now for years and proved themselves, and you're sort of like coming into this bigger pond. It's amazing you made it there. But it's now starting over and having to prove yourself in a bigger container with more competition. So it's again, but there's so much magic. I just love this She-Wolf deck in general. There's a lot of magic in it. And whatever you did here, whatever you excelled at here, was just so aligned for you. And so I see no reason why it can't still be in the next round. And even the phase right before you stepped into this, it's sort of like you really found your soul within it. Maybe you found a deeper meaning. You kind of, the step right before the 12th step in this life cycle is sort of like when we liberate from something and find our own identity. So to continue the high school metaphor, now adding on to the football player, maybe that football player had a parent or parents that were really on them and really dictated their training and had a lot of expectations around them. But there was a phase where you kind of, keeping with the storytelling, where this player really rebelled against their parents, and they needed to find their own passion for what they were doing suddenly. Even though they were very good and they love it, there was just something that was suffocating them and haunting them almost about really staying plugged in and connected to this thing that they know that they are, but there was just like too much control or something, and walked away and started doing, like, rebelling, not leaving being a football player, but rebelling from the sort of dictation of how or why they were doing this or what the expectations were, and maybe even took like a break or had a summer or whenever, I don't know, maybe football players, I don't know much about football, so I don't know why I chose that. Whenever there's a break, when they're not practicing like preseason, whatever, like maybe just like right after a year ends and there's a break before training begins again, maybe there is a period where that person was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore, and they kind of partied and did some other things, and it just shook things up enough where then the parents were just happy for them to commit again, but they backed off. Okay, do your own schedule, have your own expectations of where this is going to take you, and with that freedom, that rebelling, that brought a sort of a new shakeup in focus, it allowed that person to come back in and really reconnect to this in their own way, with their own unique vibe and their own unique path and their own unique soul connection to it outside of any outside influences. And I feel like that's where this person, hence you, are sitting right now, whatever this is for you, like sitting in this, like, I've done this for me. I'm at the end of the road of whatever this is, and I know a bigger pond is waiting. So I'm going to revel in having been the star of whatever this was in my life, and enjoy it and reflect on it and find the meaning of it and really find some understanding and really comprehend what this did for me, where this could take me. And the next step, because I love this so much, I just trust. I think there's a lot of faith and trust sitting in this. And you can see this person, and I feel like maybe the football thing came in for me because it was so physical. I guess I could have used any sport, volleyball, tennis, whatever. And of course, this doesn't have to be sports, and definitely not high school for you guys, but anywhere, metaphor. So, but you look at the artwork of this, and it's so just instinctually connected to body. And so something here does feel a little bit physical to me. It doesn't have to be sports, but it does feel to me that there's either a very physical component here or a very practice component here where instinct was developed, or a real embrace of your own mystery and wildness and intuition that you developed a trust in. that was very physically centered. So really developing more of a kinesthetic or somatic connection to life, of really listening to your body type of thing. So we are now going to take this card out from where it is and get just a little bit of context around where this is right now, what's going on in this moment with this phase in the life cycle for you, which I hope, just going a level deeper, brings any insight you need. Focus. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, maybe it's sort of like going back to that analogy. Maybe there's still like one more big game left, or it could be that it's not quite graduation, but it's sort of like the last recruiter might be watching a final game before recruitment happens or something. And so you're still needing a great amount of focus. But the good news here is this Empress card, she feels incredibly focused, but also incredibly trusting in some higher power and inner power, because we see this lotus blossoming out of her groin. That's like a trust in what you're able to blossom with your own magic. But there's blossoming around her in her environment, and she's looking up to something beyond her and staying very plugged in. It feels like flow state. And, there's... when I did my psychology major, I had never heard this, and maybe you guys have. Maybe I'm late to the party, but I thought it was so fascinating that there is some understanding of how you can get into a flow state, and it's by doing something that you are already quite practiced in, but challenging yourself in that thing that you've already got a lot of instinct in, challenging yourself just a stitch past where your comfort zone is. And that tends to put people into a flow state. So there's something that you're still needing, I think, to challenge yourself in. And because of what this position represents, that's why I'm feeling it, because there's a lot of complexity and endings here, and it can be really hard to focus. But that's where when you trust in something beyond you and in your own instincts and your own abilities, and just like this faith that comes in, it is a place in that life cycle that flow states can happen when you can kind of just like let go a little bit. And so that's what I'm thinking, is there's complexity in whatever you're needing to focus on right now, but there's also ability, and you're kind of just trusting your instincts and trusting some higher power, and focusing in for this last little bit, the final game or something, whatever that metaphor might compare to in your life. Okay, let's get an animal wisdom. Ooh, dragon. Gaia's gateway, access to Earth's inner wisdom, which to me makes me feel so like a confirmation for myself as the reader of picking the Empresses as the heart of the issue in this reading. Like Earth's inner wisdom, it can be trusting a life cycle in general. It can be trusting your own body as made from the earth. It can be trusting just the wisdom of the material realm. And it just feels like this is such a physically based thing. So trusting the life cycle, trusting your own body, trusting the environment. You've really, there's a lot of wisdom that you've gained from whatever you've gone through here, whatever this cycle has been about. And so whatever you're trying to get insight into if this is like a yes or no question, I feel like the yes would fall in line with, should I take myself to a bigger pond? That would feel like a yes. And for most of you, it may not be a yes or no question, but I'm just trying to help for those that it is. The no might fall in line with like, should I do this over or stay where I am at? The thing is, this is a graduation, so no, you're ready to challenge yourself more. You're ready for a bigger pond. So do not stay where you're at. You're ready for a bigger challenge. You may start as the little fish in that challenge. So humility may need to be found, but you're ready for a bigger pond. Okay, let's do a few tea leaves to end this. Money path. A path with money is waiting for you to find it. Yeah, like you really have built some sort of instinct. And so whatever the new bigger pond awaiting you is, you have a skill or an instinct or a confidence in you, where you can ask what you are worth, which is quite a lot, I believe. Okay, let's get a couple more. Beryl, you feel something is lacking in your life, perhaps love, money, or goals. So that's something to think about in the next, if you level up to a bigger pond, is there maybe a different, this particular life cycle, whatever this has been about, feels very focused, very limiting of what is in your life so that you can really master and excel at one specific thing. And maybe when you move to the bigger pond or let yourself level up, maybe you can just trust that you've built something incredibly solid, and maybe it's room to allow a little bit more balance into your life. So maybe you're solid with money or you're solid with goals, but love is lacking. Maybe you need to allow more time for a little bit of fun and romance into your life, and trust that you've really built a skill that can kind of stand on its own at this point with just some upkeep and a little bit of challenge and pushing, but you're ready to allow more in at this point. And maybe that's what the bigger pond is about, is like opening up to more things now instead of just the one thing. Lion, time to act. Okay, beautiful. So I feel like this next round is right around the corner. Like you're really at that graduation moment. There's like one final game, whatever that means to you or would relate to. And so time to act is both like keep it up, stay focused, finish this last thing, but also take action on accepting the recruitment, accepting an offer, accepting access to the bigger pond, whatever it is. I think there's multiple things you're needing to step up to and take action on. We're just going to look at a little bit of timing in terms of like how much longer you're going to be in this graduation phase before you move on to a new phase of something. Okay, so timeline wise, and you'll know because we're coming here with very different questions since it's a collective reading. So for some of you, this might be something that's much more minimal and quick paced, and for some of you, this could be, something that's been years in the making. So whichever timeline makes sense to you, whatever resonates is what should work for you. So this could be anywhere from 4 days, 4 weeks, or 4 months. I wouldn't do years with this reading. I feel like we only sit in phases, even if it's a very long phase. We would have gotten the 12 if it was, sometimes we could sit in one phase for if this is like a 12-year thing. But there's a 12 on this dice, so could have sat in it for 12 months. But we got 4. So 4 days, 4 weeks, or 4 years. And something to look for also in timing is the moon being in Sagittarius. That can nail that down even a little bit more specifically. I would probably say more likely for the 4 weeks or the 4 months. It could be from when I'm doing this reading, there's not going to be a Sagittarius moon in 4 days. But maybe you're doing it at a different time, and maybe this is just like, right here, and maybe there's a Sagittarius moon, within the next few days. So whatever resonates to you and works to you, that is what you should go with. And yeah, it's beautiful. I love seeing so many people sitting in this big, complex final moment of something. Yeah, the two have felt very, very different though. This one feels much more of a passion type thing. So physical and passionate. Yeah, so anyway, enjoy this last moment of whatever this is. It feels like a graduation, so I almost want to say congratulations to some of you. I hope that resonates for whoever it's meant to resonate for. And this is where I'm going to leave you. If this was a reading that really clicked, I always love the thumbs up. It helps me to know what you guys are liking. It also helps my algorithm. Definitely subscribe if you are not yet. I love reading for everybody. And comments are always fun to peruse to see what really connects. Also, I'm really hoping that this spread makes sense to people, and happy to get feedback if there were things that didn't make sense, because it's a little bit of a, I couldn't go into all the details of what everything meant because it's a little bit of a complex spread, but I like to think you guys are on it enough to absorb what I needed to tell you, at least out of the spread. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 3. If this is you guys, you picked the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and this is your Empress, which is the card that's going to represent the heart of the matter, whatever query you are bringing to this reading. So the spread for this requires 12 cards, so we're just going to, on the fly, pick 11 more cards for this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. We will also look at the card on the back of the deck once we have these all laid out. We're going to shuffle a little to mix in the Empress with the other cards. Oops. I am the last, pile 1 and pile 2. The Empress was in the very last spot, and I'm feeling something much younger with this one, so we'll see where the Empress comes out. Yeah, okay. I sort of thought it would come out in the first row, and it did. Okay, and then let's look at the back of the deck. Beautiful, 6 of Wands. So whatever this journey, this life cycle of something, the underlying thing here is I believe you're looking for some sort of victory in something, some sort of confidence gained, some sort of expression, feeling confident in an expression, feeling confident as a leader, feeling some kind of victory over a challenge, or winning some sort of a competition, whatever it is, but some kind of shining spotlight, beautiful moment. And I love this particular Six of Wands with the hummingbird and this woman sort of in control a little bit of the hummingbird. She holds the source of the nectar, and so she's able to kind of use that flower with nectar that she's holding probably to direct this the heart. The hummingbird can represent the heart, it can represent joy, and the Six of Wands is a card that relates to the Leo energy, which is about heart. So whatever this is, it is about heart. It's about leadership, confidence, creativity, shining. And in this particular one with this card, being able to really have empowerment over how you direct that. So also some scorpionic vibes of really being able to control. And we see that with these dark birds here, this kind of this power thing going on too. I think in a positive way, like using the power of the heart, but really knowing how to channel it with precision and strategy. Like, this is a very strategic thing happening here. It's really cool. So also, oh my gosh, and I didn't even really think about this as I was talking about the back of the card, is your Empress card coming out in the 5th position is the Leo position as well. So definitely 100% something here is about finding your confidence, finding how you radiate and sit in the spotlight, finding how you lead and command, some sort of creative empowerment happening. And you're in the thick of it. So not only is this whole journey about this, but you're in the prime position of like really sitting in your confidence. And we see this with this Empress in particular really currently blossoming. And I don't know if you can see, she's incubating a baby, but she's holding a crown over it, which is also a very Leo-esque symbol. So there's something very regal going on here, noble, and she herself looks sort of, poised and put together and regal herself. So whatever is coming out of you right now is just like really, just really powerful, really radiating, really confident. So drop into that, drop into feeling whatever is incubating within you, whatever is blossoming out of that incubation, whatever strength you've given to something that you've protected and nourished for a while, but that's ready to really come out and shine. Sit in that, accept it. She doesn't look like overly, Leo, that Leo energy to me can come out in two ways. It can come out as an energy where you drop into it and you hold a certain command, or it can come out if you didn't quite anchor in enough in the past cycle, the 4th Cancerian cycle. If you didn't anchor in quite enough and there's still some insecurity plaguing you, it's like you've all been around those people that just need the attention, and they hog the attention, but in such an obnoxious way. And so the attention coming to this Leo is, she's confident about it. So however you're dropping into accepting attention, accepting the spotlight, you're not trying to, it's just coming. You can see she's very poised. She's not doing anything dramatic to try and, look at me, I'm over here. It's just like she's just blossoming and she's sitting in it. Like her dress is the petals of a flower. So things are just, she herself is blossoming, but things are blossoming that are coming out of her. Hence and she's just very calm about it. So there's something really calm here, very noble here, very just sitting in the power of it. You may be in a position where, you are having to lead and command, which means you have to carry some poise and you have to carry some strength and belief in yourself, a strong backbone, a strong heart. And I do get that sense with this Empress, is she's in that mode. She's she's in charge of something. She's not overly young and eager and flirtatious with all this beautiful stuff that's coming out of her. She's having to kind of sit with poise within that. So, and we even see it again here, this Queen of Pentacles. Her skirt is made of flowers. I mean, it's all over in this deck in general, but it just makes me think that there's something about you that in general is just very fertile. We see with the Knight of Pentacles, her skirt's made of flowers and the horse is made of leaves. Down here we see her skirt is made of a ladybug shell. Moving, yeah, and here the bottom half of their body are animal. Yeah, so there's something like very instinctual, but just very fertile in general, very connected to nature, but in a way where it's not like you're trying to control nature. It's like you're at one with nature. So you're at one with whatever leadership or command you're having to step into right now. And so just sink into that, be with it. You really are headed towards a very victorious path. And I want to say whatever phase came before the one you're sitting in right now, and this may be why you're like, I know what's going on. Okay, so the phase that came right before this moment, the phase you're currently in, is there was some disappointment, and you were in a phase of generally where you turn inward to kind of deepen and connect to your soul, but something was really really hurt your heart, whether it was a relationship or just circumstances. Something didn't work the way you wanted to, and it really pierced your heart, but it made you go all that much deeper into yourself, into what your soul wanted, into who you were. So all that pain from a past cycle that you sat in before this really, really strengthened you. It really helped you to hold the weight of all of the blossoming that's now taking place on the surface of your life. But I feel like you have a wary eye, and that's what, like, I didn't say it before. She looks very wary to me. I'm going to put this up a little closer. There's kind of a wary look on this Empress's face, and I think it's because there have been battle wounds, and so there's this wiring that's come in that's sort of like always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And what I want to say is the path forward, there is going to be some anxiety, but it's that will come in a couple of phases, but it's self-inflicted anxiety. The rest of the way of this path looks really, really beautiful. Well, there is an Eight of Cups, Nine of Swords and Eight of Cups. There are like a few glitches, but overall, where this path is going, it's going to hold a lot of meaning. It's really going to help you to find your overall. I really love this 11th card, the 10 of Cups. You're really going to find some harmonious, beautiful distinct uniqueness if you continue on this path. So if this is a question about like, should I continue with this? There are a couple of up and downs, but the ups are so beautiful. They really are. And I think the downs are, every life cycle comes with ups and downs. It's definitely sort of a learning thing, but I think overall there is going to be a lot of victory on this path. And in particular, the very next step in this, when you move past this 5th position into a next phase with whatever this is, there's going to be some impulse, there's going to be some passion and excitement that arises. It might be a little bit impetuous, which is what will lead to, after that, some anxiety, but there's some mastery that will come from it, and some aliveness in your values that will come out of it. And even though at this 10th position of what manifests, you may not feel like as completely solid, when you start breaking away from this and looking towards hope for the future and what the next cycle is, I feel like ultimately the victory that's going to come out of this life cycle is really finding a unique distinction and harmony with who you are, separate from any previous conditioning, any expectations. You're really going to drop into finding something about who you distinctly are and really feeling at peace with that. So if that feels like something that you're willing to continue on this journey for, it's very, very worth it. If this is something where you're really, you already feel good about that and you're just looking for some, material returns or something, there's some victories and there's some losses here for sure. At the very end, though, there's some generosity coming in. So whether it's some returns on investments, some investors, support for furthering some talent or skill, that does lie there. But it's just that this 10th card, where the manifestation, whatever you're trying to build, so if this is more business related, something is a little out of alignment, but sometimes we have to go through that. Sometimes we have to go through something that's a little misaligned to really understand who we are and really understand the ways in which we can be victorious, because we finally dropped into who we are and what we're meant for and what our destiny is. And I think you can find that on this path. Okay, I'm going to break this Empress card out of this 5th position, and we're going to draw a few oracle cards to get a little bit more context about what is going on at this moment in this phase of the life cycle, beyond just being in this moment of taking on some leadership or being in the spotlight or feeling your creativity come out of you. Wow, a couple cards came out, so we'll just take both of them. So change and pleasure. So maybe this creative ability, confidence, or leadership ability and confidence that's coming out of you is allowing you to see how you can change your life through enjoying life more. And I see that so much with so much beautiful, elegant nature in this deck in general, and having picked it. But also just this Empress card in general. It's sort of like, I think something about you in this phase, part of what you're supposed to learn in this phase, is how to enjoy life a little bit more. So we see again on her face this kind of stoic, something stoic going on there. And I think the challenge of this, it's such a beautiful phase, but there's definitely maybe a lack of trust in it. is that this phase of being in such creative energy flowing from you is going to change that stoic look into really understanding how to enjoy and find the pleasure in what you're able to express in your confidence, in your, so the journey of this phase itself is learning how to trust who you are and really trust your heart, your backbone, and all of this beauty that's coming out of you that everyone else can see and you're kind of just not paying attention to. You're meant in this phase to go through change of being able to get a higher perspective of this, being able to look down and see like, oh wow, this is a gorgeous moment. Enjoy it. And some rewiring. We can even see within this, there's with the baby in uterus, there's some sort of wiring going on. That's partially for you to rewire, not feeling like you have to step into the spotlight out of duty, which I could see with that crown, that royal thing, like maybe there's a sense of duty to what you're doing. But to take a higher perspective and see the, I don't want to say privilege because some of you may not feel privileged, but this moment that you are in relation to other moments you've been in, is a very beautiful one. If you can elevate up and look down on your life a little, you'll see how fertile it is and how expressive your heart is being, and decide and rewire and decide to drop into this and enjoy it and touch it and walk on it and trust it. Trust is what it really comes through here. Panda, balance. Ask how to bring balance to the situation and into your heart. Yeah, and I think that balance is that you're taking something a little too seriously, or expecting or waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the balance that's needed is faith and trust and really listening to your heart. So do some work on looking down towards your heart when you're making decisions. A lot of times we use our mind. We think our mind is the thing that needs to lead us or make our decisions, but it's our heart. And if we're contemplating something or looking for answers, if we can kind of look down, it helps us to bring our mind and heart together, and it helps the heart to step in and take the place it's supposed to. And I think that's a big part of how this change will come about, is if you can start listening to your heart a little bit more, because it has a lot to say about how you can enjoy all this beautiful stuff that's coming out of you, that's surrounding you. It's a really beautiful moment, but you need to trust it, and it's your heart that will help you to do that. Okay, couple of tea leaves, and then we'll do some astro dice to end. Yoke, feeling tied down or frustrated. Yeah, sense of duty here for some reason. Whatever you're kind of taking command of it or expressing creatively, or for whyever there's like a spotlight on you, I think there's a sense of duty to it. And so it's like a change of perspective is needed so that you can find some joy and pleasure in this moment and bring balance to it. Yeah, sun. So if you can change that perspective, the sun comes out, happiness and well-being. It's there for you. And so it's just like needing to elevate and see the situation from sort of a bigger perspective, and you'll drop into that joy of this very easily and quickly. It's just, you just need to push your perspective a little bit. Fair man, dealings or relationships with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. So I'll just let you guys interpret that how it may be. Maybe you know who this is, and maybe they are someone who will turn up in the next week or so. Okay, we are going to roll some dice to get some information about a timeline of how long you will be sitting in this Empress in this fifth phase before moving on to the next phase, which is the Fool, which is an impulse, a fresh start around something, new passion coming through. But also that sixth phase is around practice and purpose and rhythm. So really dedicating yourself to how you produce in life. What are your rhythms? How do you let your day-to-day flow? What is its rhythm? But there's something passionate coming through there. Okay, so we're going to sit in the Empress in the fifth position. And it'll be different. I'm going to give a couple different indicators because we all, for some of you this is a bigger thing, and for some of you it's something smaller because we're in a collective reading. So this is either going to be 9 days if this is something just quick in your life, 9 weeks if we're somewhere in the midpoint, or 9 months if this means something that's very long term to you. And then we're going to look for a Taurus moon for even further timing. For some of you, 9 days may not have a Taurus moon within it. But depending on, I'm trying to think for myself giving this reading when the next Taurus moon is, but I can't. Well, one's coming up. So if you watch this, I think it will already have passed once I actually put this up to you guys though. But it will be for me in about a day from when I am doing this reading. So when you watch this, if it makes sense that the 9 days is more aligned to you, it may be only a day or two, 1 to 3 days away in actuality, because that's more aligned to when I'm doing this reading, that there will be Taurus moons in place. So this is where I'm going to leave you guys. I hope you can find the elevation you need, like this balloon horse to rise up and see the beauty around you and kind of elevate out of this feeling tied to some sort of duty to see the actual beauty around you and just like drop into it and enjoy it for what it is. I wish you luck with that because I do feel like there is just some gorgeous stuff around you right now. You just need to see it. You just need a different perspective in order to see it. Overall, if you continue on this path, if this was sort of a should I or shouldn't I continue with whatever this is or whoever this is, there is some beautiful stuff here. And my advice is, unless this is only business related to you, I would continue with it. I think there's some really beautiful things here. So, but up to you. It will resonate. Hopefully the information you've needed will have already been shared that will resonate what you need to do about why you came here. Okay, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this reading was informative and insightful for you and it connected, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It really helps me to know what you are liking in terms of the readings I give. It also helps my algorithm. And definitely subscribe if you are not yet. Comments are always fun to peruse, and especially with this reading because it was very complex and I was worried about whether or not you guys would understand it. Because I didn't take the time to interpret every card in the life cycle, because that would take very long, and I've done it before and I think it just gets lost. So I just picked out what I thought you needed to know at this moment and a little bit going forward. So in the comments, if there were things that really didn't make sense to you, I welcome the feedback so that I do it a little bit more clearly if I decide to do it again, and or if you loved it and want me to do this kind of spread again, because I love this spread and I would like to do it again. But yeah, interested to hear how you guys connected. So, all right, I will see you in another reading. Hello, pile 4. If this is you guys, you have the Empress from the Star Child Tarot. And this particular tarot deck is my newest one. I know it's been out for a while, but I just got it and I am in love with it. It's probably my favorite tarot deck at the moment. Of course, every new one ends up being. But I do feel, even just looking at this Empress versus the other ones, and they all have their beauties and strengths and you know, probably why you were drawn to them for particular things. But this Empress to me feels very just like in complete self-acceptance and surrender, and just like ethereal and divine and humble, and just like very connected due to that embodiment of just acceptance, you know, of self, of what is, of guidance, and like one step away from being like an angel herself. So you can even see sort of the material realm. Her fertility is even just like a little bit more magical than we would see in reality. So I feel like some of her fertility, even though the Empress is so connected to the material world, I feel like some of her material fertility is a little bit otherworldly, a little mystical and mysterious and fluid. And yeah, anyway, so just a little bit I've definitely noticed that these Empresses have their, you know, in these readings, they've kind of really taken on their own kind of characters within the deck, and that's sort of what I'm feeling there. Okay, so in this life cycle reading, we need 12 cards in total for the spread. So we need 11 more cards that we're just going to pick on the fly. So we've got one. And this deck is still very stiff. I haven't shuffled it a ton, so doing my best. Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we will also look what's on the back of the deck once we get these all in their positions, but we're going to shuffle these cards so we can mix the Empress in and let her find her spot in the life cycle. Wow, High Priestess to start out. Beautiful. This is crazy because three out of the four piles had the Empress in the very last position. So collectively, there are a lot of endings going on. This is very, very interesting. I don't know if this is connecting into, if a majority of you watch this as I put it out, maybe it has to do with the Mercury retrograde. Retrogrades can kind of bring certain cycles to end, but I don't know, because this is a timeless, so a lot of people are going to be coming to this at different times, but very interesting. Anyway, I guess the group of people feeling called to this reading in general, probably coming in for advice on big ending moments in their life. So I want to say and it's so interesting how, so it was pile 1, pile 2, and now pile 4 with these Empress in the last position of the life cycle. And every single one of them have felt totally complete, like different stories that are ending, just completely different things going on. Hence this position feeling itself quite different. So let's explore what you're supposed to be downloading right now, because this is a place, and it doesn't surprise me the way this Empress is poised and surrendered. That is what this position is about, is the ending of a life cycle is where we're holding these great big boundaries, and so we have a little bit more connection to the other realm, and things are a little bit more ethereal, and we learn how to surrender and just accept the shadow with the light, the whole of something, and we glean a lot of meaning and understanding and compassion and forgiveness, and that's what I'm just feeling like she is downloading. Hence, you guys, whoever came to this particular pile in this reading, either you're in this moment of just like fully surrendered, fully accepting what is, feeling the divine grace of like there was a meaning for all that went before this, for what this was about. I'm letting go now. There was magic and beauty. I've gained magic and beauty. I hand over my will to something higher now. Whatever you need from me next, I am all yours. Kind of a feeling going on here. So overall, whatever this life cycle was about, something about it, the underpinning of this, whether it was always obvious or not, whatever was the underpinning, the impetus, the thing that consciously or unconsciously sparked this path, this life cycle to go into motion, was some sort of needing to reevaluate your past, how things became normalized in you, what was enculturated in you, meaning what was the culture that you were a child in that instilled certain values and ethics and standards and expectations. And that comes with, usually the Six of Cups is about like nostalgia, so sort of happy childhood memories. But I tend to like to expand it, that like there are, many of us, I would say, probably have beautiful nostalgic childhood moments. But there's also, when you really evaluate your childhood, things that can be unlearned and need to be unlearned, that where wiring got weird, where we've developed into someone where certain norms no longer work for us. And by seeing how and where they came in, it's so much easier to sort of unravel and find a sense of grace around. So even if there's anger around some of that stuff, just kind of being able to surrender and say, you know, I have my own path, and certain times in history have their own path, certain people have their own path, and for whatever reason I was born into something that wired me, that enculturated me in certain ways that as I become more adult, I'm finding aren't actually aligned to who I am or who I want to be. And so there can be some pain in that process along with the nostalgia. But I think you've gone through the ups and downs, the battle wounds of a journey of really even coming into how she is, just being able to see it all, the light and shadow of it all, and saying, you know, I wouldn't do it any other way. I am who I am because of, you know, where and how and who raised me, whatever culture surrounded me. Sometimes we're surrounded by many cultures, family culture, religious culture, peer culture, school culture, whatever it is, you know, a sports culture. You know, we get layered with many different kinds of cultures. And it's sort of like you can look back on it now and be like, you know, every single one of these added something to me. I gained something from it, but now I can surrender it all. I can let go of that. They can be beautiful memories or difficult memories, but they're not me anymore. And I'm surrendering it all, and I am just in full self-acceptance of who I am, shed of any past norms, of any past expectations, whether they were due to my own expectations I placed on myself or others, or a little of both. But a maturity that comes in where it's not completely about the self now either, of like, because I want to do this and this is who I am. It's because I have a higher purpose that can't be served by holding on to certain wiring and enculturation anymore. I need to give that up in order to serve my higher purpose that is not completely self-directed. Some of it is, but some of it comes from somewhere higher. And just like, really, that's what I'm feeling. Like you're dropping into this moment of just being able to shed so much of certain childhood programming to really step into your place in the cosmic order of things. And that's what literally, that's what this is. You are stepping into your place in the cosmic order of things, and you've been through a big journey to really witness, reflect, revisit, and understand the way you were programmed in order to shed it. And yeah, and just looking over this, I think the passion spot, this first spot of finding your center, the center that came to you through this was the High Priestess. So a lot of, it doesn't surprise me that we have such this priestessy looking Empress in this final spot, with the Priestess coming out first. And I know it's based on how the deck was designed, but it just feels orchestrated too for this exact layout, that the first spot, our passion, our spark, was the High Priestess, and your Empress is very High Priestessy. Intuition, fully embedded within you, fully embraced, developed, deepened, trusted, a confidence and intuition coming through here. So some of the things I think you've shed are, I'm just going to kind of scan this. I don't know. Overall, it's actually a really beautiful spread. The only difficult card I really see is this Eight of Swords in the 4th position, which is actually home and family. So I feel like maybe that's the main culture that you've had to do a little bit of more difficult reflection on and work with. Something about potentially your family culture, and that could be broadened into the culture, not just specifically your family, but maybe a culture that they embrace that influence them. So it could be specific personalities, or it could be a culture that your family kind of embraced. An example would be if they were very religious. It's not necessarily all about their personality, even though that can be some of it, but certain religious culture they had. But there's something about the family dynamic that I think you felt trapped by, that you couldn't go out and push your boundaries and be authentically who you wanted to be, which I feel, just in terms of this card, someone that's a little bit more accepting and adventurous and accepting of light and dark in life, in people, in circumstances. I feel like that openness and that willingness to see life in kind of a broader perspective and a more compassionate perspective was a little bit trapped by very specific ideas and expectations of how someone is supposed to be, or what they're supposed to do, or how they're supposed to act. These expectations really oppressed aspects of yourself that I think were more embracing of I don't know why I'm having struggles finding my words here, and it's probably because of this card in general, the Eight of Swords, blocked from your own ideas type of thing. But I think you're much more of a broad person than your family culture allowed you to be. And so that's something you've needed to go back, whatever journey you've been on that you're ending. A lot of that had to do with being able to go back and shed certain oppressions, certain entrapments of how you were expected to be, what you were expected to do, behavior, expression, just what you do in the world, how you express yourself in the world. You needed to shed certain things around family conditioning in order to break free and express all of yourself, because a lot of yourself was having to be entrapped and kind of stuffed down, unable to see things. But looking at all of the other cards, there's so much beautiful nostalgia, I feel like, in your life. I think there's a lot of beauty in, and it's not to say, I don't believe in very, that super binary black and white thinking. I'm not trying to say family conditioning was all negative. There's just some aspect. Maybe your family is wonderful. It's just that they have certain beliefs that created some conditions and expectations around you that made it really hard to fully embrace who you are, or to be seen by them fully, by fully being seen by them, by who you are, of who you are. They could see aspects because that's all they were willing to see, or all you were willing to show. But you're shedding this now, and it's time to step out into your light. But there were so many other things, and I can't help but feel like because there's so many other beautiful things, that family wasn't all bad. It was just something specific. It could have. I'm getting a religious vibe, maybe because this has sort of that spiritual overtone to it. I feel like for a lot of you, it might be some spiritual conditioning, some religious type conditioning that made it hard to fully express who you are. But you've gone back now in this journey and seen where you got trapped, seen where the expectations came in, and have found a way to, even if it feels complex or scary or complicated, you see these swords floating away. And for good or bad, for difficult, for being willing to be seen in a light that may not be a way you want to be seen by family or parents, you're doing it anyway, and it's for the best, and it's part of your place in the cosmic order to be able to allow your whole self to be expressed and to be seen. And it doesn't mean you have to push it in someone's face. It's not like you have to step up to, if this is a parental issue and they're still alive, that you have to say, this is who I am and F you for these constrictions. You can just sort of create different boundaries. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. You can just sort of create different boundaries, but realize why there were certain parts of you weren't letting out. But feel safe to let them out in different areas of your life, and not necessarily hide them from parents or whatever this familial type culture is, but just put the boundaries you need around them in order for you to express fully who you are in places that are going to accept fully who you are. But yes, back to, there's so many other beautiful things, and it's hard for me to believe that family is all bad, because family influences so many parts of our lives, not just our family life, that I think there are some really gorgeous things about family. I think you probably had some really positive things that came from your upbringing and different cultures, and a lot of beautiful nostalgia and a lot of beautiful gifts and skills and wisdoms that you picked up along the way. And so this reflection back on childhood, on where your norms and conditioning came from, has mostly been a very beautiful journey, and it's really helped you to recognize the magic you possess, the unique experiences you've had, the victories you've had, the passion you contain, the industriousness you contain, the creative wizard, youthful, sexy siren, maybe for some of you. And even if there was like a religious thing here, maybe it's not even all bad in the religion. Maybe you learned certain things about finding respect for, there's certain values different religions have that aren't all bad, and maybe you learned certain values that that do align with you, that you do find beautiful, or there were certain things about your religion that taught you how to be a leader, how to devote yourself to something, whatever it is, or that gave you amazing access to different mentors. Whatever it is, I don't think it was all bad. There's just something extra that you needed to shed that didn't belong on you. But we also see a lot of reflection going on here. There may have been, I feel like you feel like aspects of your life you've lost out on. Maybe there's some late blooming going on here. You feel like you have bloomed too late, or you're too late for something. I'm getting with this card, with the one cup tipped over, and certain reflection happening, like you lost your opportunity or it's too late. But it's not. Everything happened, and I think you're starting to realize that, especially with the Empress falling right underneath this card. She's finally realizing, you are finally realizing maybe there's been a hang up in you, and maybe that's part of what this reflection has been about on childhood and conditioning and inner child work even, is that man, I missed out on what I was supposed to do or be or accomplish, or who I was supposed to be, and it's too late now. But you're realizing, like, it's never too late, and this is all happening right on time, and I'm right on time to even let that go and just trust in something bigger, something higher, and all of the beauty that I know I contain within. You contain the sun within. So much. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of these cards, but if you know tarot, you can look at each one of these cards. You may not know what the different positions mean, but it's okay. They're all just really, really beautiful cards. And I think you're just, it's time to just trust that you have really, really beautiful things experienced, innate within you, supporting you, and just trusting that that's there, and surrendering to the divine cosmic order and just saying, what do you want me to do? I'm yours. It's not too late, because this is all on time, and so I'm yours. I feel full. I feel divine. I feel completely surrendered and accepting of who I am, where I am, what I am. So tell me what to do, kind of thing. So gorgeous. This is really beautiful what's coming out here. I mean, they've all been, but I don't know. I'm feeling especially feeling like you guys, especially whatever this mission has been about, is like a very special cycle that only, I think, really mature souls could go on, to be honest. Okay, oops. Well, these fell out before I could even tell you what we're doing here, but we'll get there. Taking this card out of this ending position, this ending of this cycle, to see specifically what's going on right now. And we have fulfillment, and that completely doesn't shock me with having the Empress as our heart of the matter card. And from what has come out of this reading is just, something's just full in you. Something's just very ripe and very full, and you're ready to just say, here I am. Here's the whole of me. It's magnificent. And now I hand it over to you, and then this is the cosmic divine order about to bring you all of the understanding, all of the messages, and all of the information you need about what it wants from you, about what this next cycle is going to be about. It's coming very quickly and suddenly and shockingly. I feel like you're in this right now, and this is coming next, of just like full acceptance of your fullness, your wholeness, and surrendering it to something bigger. So take that step, acknowledge that the work you've done and the wholeness you feel about exactly who you are, and say that out loud, like, I surrender this up to the divine cosmic order. What do you need from me? And it will answer shockingly and suddenly as soon as you're ready to sit in your complete fulfillment. And it might take a minute, that's fine. And some of you might be there right now. But what's next is just, shocking, swift, shocking communication back. Okay, little animal wisdom. Ladybird, luck, all of your manifesting positive thoughts and visualizations have been heard. Oh, I love that. You're due. I think this has been, just like, even if it's not been a long process, this life cycle, I think for many of you it's been a long process, but even if it hasn't been, the effort and the willingness to go where you've gone, to really face who you are, face how things got wired in you, really go into your depths, really look into your history. Even some ancestral things some of this may have been ancestral stuff, like ancestors that aren't even breathing on our planet right now. To go where you've gone, to do the reflecting you've done, and to kind of come into this place of utter fulfillment and yet surrender, the power that's coming to you, to others, is going to appear like luck. To you, you're going to know that you've actually done certain work that not everyone is capable of doing. And by doing it, you have opened yourself up to beautiful, positive, miraculous abilities to manifest. And you're right on time. You're right where you're supposed to be, and you're trusting that. It's so beautiful. So for any of you that came to this with more of a yes, no kind of thing, like, should I continue on this path? Well, you're at the end of it. So yes, but no at the same time. I feel like it's a mixed yes, no. Don't try to hold on to this path. Hold on to it and keep it here. It's time to surrender. So if you're saying, should I hold on to something? No. If you're saying, should I continue in this surrender and just embrace what is? Yes. If that doesn't quite hit your yes, no, I guess it'll be up to you to resonate however you need to resonate with what's already been said here. Okay, we're going to do a few tea leaf cards, and then we're going to roll some astro dice to end this. Bread. Period of prosperity and abundance. Exactly. That's all over this moment here. Okay. Cobweb. Protected from negative forces beyond your control. And that's what happens when we surrender and have total faith and total trust. I feel like it's clearing out your cobwebs, Okay, one more. Tent, temporary situation. So, if that means something specific to you, that's fine, and go with that. My feeling is that you're going to be in this moment very temporarily and be moving on to this power moment and the luck and the prosperity very soon. I think I said it before, but I do get the feeling that for many of you, this has been a long life cycle, not a short one. It's been a long process, or even if it's been shorter, it's felt long. It's felt like a lot of work. And so this beautiful moment of feeling your fullest and really sinking into that is only temporary. But enjoy it while you do. It's a beautiful thing. But I do feel like she's waiting, and you're only going to have to wait temporarily. That communication, that power, that new luck, the prosperity is coming, and you're being protected. So just embrace this moment. You're very protected at the moment. So just drop in, enjoy it, feel your fullness, declare your surrender, and only temporarily wait for a moment. Okay, we are going to look at some timing for how much longer you're going to be sitting on this before you enter your new phase. And I didn't feel this for the other cards or piles, but I kind of want to, because they had some, not necessarily peek into what the next cycle is going to be about, but there were some little inspirations that was pointing towards some potential things, but I don't feel like we got that here because we're so fully in this moment. But I do just kind of want to peek if there's any insight to be gained about what is next, what this power, what this communication, what this luck is going to be about. But let's get some timing for how long you're going to sit in this moment of fulfillment and surrender, and your fullness of who you are without any of this childhood conditioning, but embracing the beauty and nostalgia of all the childhood things. Okay, so depending on how long this is, how much you feel like you need to experience this moment that we've talked about, timing will differ for everybody, but it will be within these things. So it'll either be 11 days, 11 weeks, or 11 months. To even hone in more tightly within those times on timing is looking for an Aries moon. So if you are coming to this reading when there is not going to be an Aries moon in the next 11 days, currently where I am and giving this reading, it is an Aries moon. So I would say that within 2 days of this reading, if you're in the day period, like time frame, within 2 days of this reading, if there's not an Aries moon, then you will be moving into the next cycle, into leaving this whole journey behind and starting fresh on a new cycle. Okay, and I just want to pick maybe one tarot card to get some kind of insight into what the next cycle might be bringing, because I just didn't have a feeling about whether it's an extension of this, which I really don't feel like it is. And the others felt sort of like a rebirth into doing what the back of the deck was, just in a bigger way or something, building upon it. Starseed. Yeah, it doesn't want to give us the information. That is just, that's the Fool card, which is the new start, the leap of faith. And that's just what it's saying. Have a leap of faith. Your angels have you. They just want you to sit in this right now. It'll be very clear when it comes what is next, what the next cycle that you're jumping into by leaving this cycle is. And Aries is very clear too. It's the tightest boundaried sign in the Zodiac. It's very clear, very direct. And so I think that's all that's coming through. You're not supposed to know what's next, but when it comes, it will be very clear, very direct, very positive. All right, that is where I'm going to leave you guys. You guys had a little bit of a longer reading than the others, but we kind of got into it. It was a beautiful reading, so I lost myself in it. So anyway, if this resonated with you and you like this reading, I always appreciate a thumbs up. It definitely helps me to know what you guys are liking. It helps my algorithm. If you are not subscribed, please do so. I love reading for everybody, and I love to peruse comments. It's always fun to see what catches people. Also, this is sort of a complex reading, and I kind of was just taking out from the spread what I thought was needed in terms of what the purpose of the reading was. So I didn't go into depth in every card in the spread. And so if anything about that was confusing, I welcome some constructive critiquing if anything was confusing, or if it totally made sense to you and you just want to let me know, that's helpful too, because I do love this type of reading, the life cycle reading. And I just trust that you guys can handle a little complexity. But for sure, if there's anything that was confusing, I want to make sure I do that better next time. So let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. And this is where I'm going to let you guys go. All right, see you in another reading.